Welcome to So Very Easy. My name is Laura, and today I would like to read to you one sentence from a book. And let's see if you will recognize the book or the series. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. Now, if you recognize that line, chances are you know the Tales of Peter Rabbit. Now, these books were put out in about 1902. They're great little books, and they're all about Peter Rabbit, written by Beatrice Potter. Now, if you miss those 4 little rabbits, then you don't have to miss them anymore. They're back. There's a new fabric line by Riley Blake where we're going to be able to bring those characters back to life. This one happens to come in a nice kit. So let's make the Beatrice Potter quilt today. So the complete kit does come in this collector's box set. You can buy the fabric on its own, but this is always nice, and it'll be a nice place to store that quilt after. So it has all of the fabric and the directions. And the quilt starts with the center panel. So all we need to do is do that one-pieced border, the additional borders, and we're going to be done. So this is what that panel looks like. It looks like we have done all that work with the sashing, so that is going to save us a lot of time. And of course it has all of our characters from Beatrice Potter. We have soft beige to go with it, a nice green fabric, some fun words that go with the book, and a beautiful back fabric, once again with all of our beautiful characters, and a green plaid. So the first thing we need to do is prepare our panel. As you're pressing fabric for the first time, if you can press it in the same direction as the selvage, it'll help not put this panel out of shape. The selvage has the least amount of stretch, so the heat of the iron will not stretch it. Where the width of the fabric has more stretch, and then of course the bias even has more. So if we're going to press this, I would definitely press it all going in this direction along the lengthwise grain. And then we are going to trim that down to 34.5 by 42.5. There is a little trick on squaring up these panels. The panels have been printed correctly. It's through transportation that sometimes they get a little askewed. So we need to work with the design, not the fabric. So in this case, I do need this to be cut at 34.5 inches. But I do want an equal measurement on each side. So I'm going to measure from that last piece all the way over to this piece. I do have 32 3/4 of an inch. So the remainder needs to go equal on both sides. So the difference is 1 3/4 of an inch. So I need to divide that in half, which is 7/8 of an inch. So now I'm going to use my ruler, and I'm going to line up the pattern to that 7/8 mark. And I might need to give a little tug or a little pull here and there to line that up. Now I can trim. So I'm just going to do that math, divide it in half, and trim off my edges all the way around. Once we have that pressed and trimmed, we are going to do a stitch and flip technique for this really sweet little border. To make that piece border, we're going to need C blocks. They're 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. And G, they're 1.5 inch squares. These are going to make the piece blocks, and we're going to need 4 cornerstones at 2.5 inches. So we're going to take that one block, we're going to take 2 of those 1.5 inch and put them on either corner, and we need to stitch from the center out to the corner. Afterwards, we'll be able to flip these back. So we're not changing the size, we're just adding different corners. So when they're all stitched, they're going to look like this, and those are going to flip back. So we do need to trim off that seam allowance. we need to press the seams, one going in one direction and one going in the other direction. And it won't matter which we choose, we just need to keep them all the same. So if I press these going up, this side needs to go down. And that way, when we go match those up, those seams are going to match together. When we sew these pieces together, the really important part are those little points there. And having those seams going in opposite directions will help us achieve that. So they're going opposite, which means they're going to nestle up. There are no points up at the top. So we need to do 2 of these borders, and they're going to have 12 pieces in them. And that's going to equal 40.5 inches. And on each end of this 12 piece, we're going to add those D's. And those were 2.5 inches. So we're going to be able to put those on and put that one border away. The next 2 borders, we're going to sew those 15 pieces together. And that will equal 45.5 inches. So we're going to be able to put that away, and then we're going to be able to start adding the borders around the panel. So this is all the piecing we are going to need to do for that entire quilt. The panel is going to do all of the work for us. The pieced border is a second border. The first border are these little strips. We're going to put B on first, and they're cut at 1.5 inches. So we're going to sew those long sides on first. When those sides are done, we're going to be able to stitch on the top and bottom and press all of the seams going out. With that first border done, we're going to be able to put on our pieced border. So we're going to put those 2 long pieces on first, matching up the sides, and then that second border is going to go on, and that cornerstone will line up to that border. And for this border, I would press it into the quilt. Once that piece border was put on, did put that next border on. Now this border does have writing on it. So I did keep the writing all going in the same direction. So it looks like it's going around. I also did that when I did this little green piece and the words up at the top. So you'll be able to see little characters all sitting in the same direction. The next border, I'm going to do the same. So since they're all facing out, I will continue that out theme and put on that nice big 5.5 inch border all the way around. Having that fabric going in all the same direction is just a lot of fun. So my Beatrice Potter quilt is done. It matches my old books. I have a nice little mug to go with it. And when it's all quilted, I have a gift box to put it in. I'll put some links in the description, and as always, thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I have a newsletter. It's all free under Sew Very Easy. And be sure to make every day a Sewtacular day. Bye for now.